It's every musician's dream to travel the world playing the great festivals. One gifted young pianist from Adelaide, Kym Purling, is about to experience all that wonder. But when Kym arrives in America this week for his first concerts, he'll attract attention not only for his talent, but also for his remarkable life story. Rebecca Bailey has more.
Kym Purling, music is his life's passion, and hearing the jazz pianist play, it's hard to imagine life's ever been any different. But Kym's life at the keyboard is a far cry from war-torn Vietnam, where he spent the first months of his life.
I was found actually abandoned as a child during that time, so there's no trace of my real mother or father. And then I was taken to an orphanage and then another orphanage until I was adopted at 8 months old.
Like many war orphans, Kym spent his first months in institutions in Vietnam. But unlike most, he was lucky enough to be adopted in Australia, one of the first overseas adoptions here. Kym arrived in Australia after his South Australian parents spent 2 long years lobbying governments and aid agencies alike.
I got this letter and we came home, opened the letter, and there was this photo, and we had to respond about whether we wanted to get this little guy. See, we were straight back. Yeah, it just clicked.
We went back to Port Augusta, and the man rang up and wanted to know how high you were. I had to go measure you so they could put it on here. Height 2 foot 2.5 inches.
David and Judith Purling already had 2 children of their own, but they decided to adopt Kym and later another Vietnamese child for a very special reason.
Our protest about the war in Vietnam at that stage in our lives was not perhaps to go into moratoriums and march, although we objected to the war, was to do something like this.
Little's known about Kym's background, but one thing's for sure, he showed musical talent early on.
Our older daughter was learning to play the piano, and Kym used to copy what she would practice very hard, and he'd just come along and play simple scales and simple melodies. And a friend of ours also, when he was about 3, a friend had said,
very good musician.
That child sings with perfect pitch. And well, we hadn't picked that, but the friend had. So obviously there was a hidden talent there. I need to know that you will always be.
While classically trained, Kym's comfortable performing all styles. Happy to improvise anything from Nat King Cole to Oscar Peterson to Billy Joel. So where do you think the music's come from then?
I don't know. I don't know. That's what makes me think about my biological parents, you know, whether one of them was a musician and whether I'm actually full-blood Vietnamese, I'm not sure either, you know. One of them might have been American soldier who engaged in jazz or music. So I don't really know where the music came from. You know, a lot of people that are in the artistic areas, neither of their parents are artistic themselves, you know. So it's another thing altogether. So who knows? It's just a gift somehow.
2 years ago, Kym's curiosity about his origins took him to Vietnam, where he introduced audiences and musicians to jazz, a sound rarely heard in the communist country.
Jazz, I don't know, was kind of like a dirty word to some of them, you know. They made it very difficult for me to say, hey, I'm here for nothing, let me do a performance here and expose the Vietnamese people to something new.
With the tour ultimately a success, Kym and his mother took some time out to visit the Ho Chi Minh City orphanage where his life began. While the trip didn't reveal the identity of his biological parents, it was a tangible link to his past.
Obviously, it stirred some deep emotions in all of us, and especially of the women that were at the location when we were there, because they obviously remember that time when babies like myself were there in 73 and 72. So, but it was just very inspiring to know that this place is still standing, at least, and I could go back there and visit it for sentimental reasons.
This month, Kym's on the move again. First to play the great jazz festivals of Europe, and then to do his master's degree in America. Opportunities he credits to growing up in Australia.
Basically, I was just plucked out of a war zone and brought to one of the greatest countries to live in the world, and had a great family life and education and be able to play music now. And that's a lot better story than some other refugees can say.
Rebecca Bailey reporting there.